Do you think he needed that after his trip?
President Biden's former chief of staff, Ron Klain, there, dodging reporter questions on Capitol Hill Thursday. He might have been tired after answering 5 hours worth of questions in a closed-door deposition regarding President Biden's mental fitness. Those questions came from the House Oversight Committee. Let's bring in Jonathan Fahey, former DHS Deputy Assistant Secretary and former Acting Director of ICE. Jonathan, we understand that Ron Klain actually answered the committee questions, which is getting to be unusual these days in Washington.
Yeah, that was surprising, at least to me, because we know his doctor took the fifth. We know, I think the deputy chief of staff took the fifth. I believe the First Lady's chief of staff took the fifth, meaning they all refused to testify on grounds that it may incriminate them. So it is interesting that he testified. I think he's in a little bit of a different situation because, remember, he left his role as chief of staff, I believe, in February of 2023. So he sort of has plausible deniability.
The fifth. Self-incrimination. You obviously can avoid self-incrimination in this country under our Constitution. But what does that say to you about the people like former President Biden's doctor?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because, yeah, you're right. You can refuse to testify if you have a reasonable belief that your answer would tend to incriminate you. It doesn't allow you to not testify if it would harm somebody else, nor does it prevent you from having to testify if it would embarrass you or make you look bad. So this means they at least have asserted they have a good faith reason to believe that their answers may incriminate them. So that's pretty interesting. And the doctor also asserted the doctor-patient privilege, which, again, only protects communications between the patient, Joe Biden, and the doctor, not all the stuff swirling around him. So it'll be very interesting to see how these pan out. But it's really not the end of the road by just taking the fifth. There are a lot of tools that the House can deploy, as well as DOJ can deploy, to ensure these people ultimately testify.
But in the case of the doctor, can he say, look, he was my patient and doctor-patient privilege prevents me from disclosing what we talked about or how he was?
Yeah, that only is going to prevent talking about their discussions with each other. If there was a larger scheme to hide his health, to change anything in records and things that were made public with staffers and other people, that would not be protected under the doctor-patient privilege. It's just solely the communications. So my guess is right now the House is probably negotiating with his attorneys to carve out the areas that he will testify about and probably limit what he talked to President Biden about alone. But the rest of it is fair game. And if this doctor presses on, ultimately they can immunize him. If he doesn't comply, then he could be held in contempt, a la Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro under the last administration for not testifying. So these witnesses do really bear some risk if they're going to proceed with taking the fifth. But again, it's quite interesting. But clearly, they don't have a lot of great things to say about what was going on with Joe Biden, his health, and I'm sure what they saw was even worse than we saw, which was a person that was incredibly low functioning towards the end of his presidency.
Yeah, this all kind of got the ball rolling, or the ball began rolling, I should say, with the Hur report, which came out in early 2024. And here was one of the lines in that report that had a lot of eyebrows raised on Capitol Hill. Robert Hur, in his report, said, "We have also considered that a trial, Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury